There's a version of you that's been locked away, not by circumstances, not by bad luck, by your own mind. And the crazy part, you've been walking around with the key this whole time. What happens when you finally use it? Let's find out. What if your weakness is just a story you keep telling yourself? You ever notice how you stop yourself before you even start? Not because you tried and failed, but because something inside you whispers, "That's not for people like me," and you just accept it, like it's a fact, like it's written in stone. Here's what nobody tells you. That voice is lying. It's not protecting you. It's controlling you. And the wildest part, you're the one who gave it permission. Think about the last time you wanted something real. Not some surface-level wish, but something that actually mattered. Maybe it was a career move. Maybe it was a relationship. Maybe it was just speaking up when it counted. Now think about what stopped you. Was it lack of skill? Lack of opportunity? Or was it that feeling, that gut-punching certainty that you'd somehow mess it up, embarrass yourself, prove everyone right about you? That feeling has a name: learned helplessness. It's a psychological trap. You fail once, twice, maybe 3 times, and your brain decides that failure is permanent, that you're just not that kind of person, that some people have it, and you don't. But here's the thing, that's not biology. That's conditioning, and conditioning can be broken. There's research out of Columbia University that showed something disturbing. When people were told they were naturally talented at something, they gave up faster when things got hard. But when people were told they could improve through effort, they kept going. Same task, same difficulty, different story. So the story you tell yourself about who you are, that's not truth. That's programming. And here's where it gets uncomfortable. If your weakness is just a story, then you've been choosing it every single day. Not consciously, maybe, but you've been rehearsing it, reinforcing it, living it like it's gospel. But what if you stopped? What if, just for a second, you entertained the idea that you've been wrong about yourself this whole time? That the limitations you've accepted aren't real, they're just familiar? Only that exists one detail almost nobody catches. The scariest part isn't that you've been living small, it's that you already know how to live big. You've just been too afraid to admit it. What would you attempt if you really knew you couldn't fail? Why the system needs you to believe you're weak? Let's get real for a second. You weren't born thinking you were limited. That got taught to you. School taught you to color inside the lines. Work taught you to stay in your lane. Society taught you that ambition without credentials is arrogance. And somewhere along the way, you internalized the message: stay small, stay safe, stay quiet. But here's the question nobody asks: who benefits from your smallness? Not you, that's for sure. But think about it. When you don't ask for the raise, someone saves money. When you don't challenge the status quo, someone stays comfortable. When you don't pursue your actual potential, someone else doesn't have to compete with you. This isn't conspiracy theory. This is how systems work. They optimize for predictability. And predictable people are people who know their place. So you were handed a script, a set of beliefs about who you are, what you deserve, what you're capable of. And you played the role perfectly. Until now. Because here's what changes everything. The moment you realize you've been acting from someone else's script, you can write your own. But that means looking at every belief you have about yourself and asking, is this mine? Or did I just accept it because it was easier than fighting? Did you decide you weren't creative? Or did one teacher tell you that in 3rd grade and you never questioned it? Did you decide you weren't leadership material? Or did you just get passed over once and assume it was a verdict? Most of what you believe about yourself isn't based on evidence. It's based on interpretation, and interpretation can change. Here's where it gets even deeper. The reason people stay stuck isn't because they don't know what to do. It's because doing it would require them to become someone different. Someone who doesn't hide. Someone who doesn't play small. Someone who takes up space without apologizing. And that's terrifying. Because if you step into that version of yourself, you can't go back. You can't pretend you didn't know better. You can't keep blaming circumstances. You become responsible. Fully, completely responsible. And most people would rather stay comfortable than be free. But not you. Not if you're still here. So here's the real question. What version of yourself have you been avoiding because it demands too much from you? If you could rewrite one belief about yourself, what would it be? How to stop waiting for permission. You don't need. Here's the shift that changes everything. You don't need to become stronger. You need to stop pretending you're weak. Strength isn't something you acquire. It's something you stop suppressing. Think about a moment when you had no choice but to handle something hard. A crisis, a loss, a situation where backing down wasn't an option. You handled it, right? Maybe not perfectly, but you handled it. That wasn't a fluke. That was you, without the option to hide. So the question is, why do you only access that version of yourself when life forces you to? What if you could choose it? What if, instead of waiting for rock bottom or some external emergency, you just decided, today I'm acting like the person I'm capable of being. Not because you feel ready, not because you have all the answers, but because you're done negotiating with your own potential. Here's what that looks like in practice. It's saying the thing you've been scared to say. It's starting the project you've been putting off. It's setting the boundary you've been avoiding. It's walking into the room like you belong there even if your brain is screaming that you don't. It's doing the thing before you feel like doing the thing. Because here's the secret, you'll never feel ready. Confidence doesn't come first. Action does. You act. Then you feel capable, not the other way around. And the most unsettling part is this. You already know what you need to do. You've known for a while, but knowing doesn't change anything. Only doing does. So the real question is, how much longer are you going to pretend you don't know? A study from Princeton showed that people who committed to action within 72 hours of learning something new were 80% more likely to follow through. Not because they were more motivated, because they didn't give their brain time to talk them out of it. So what's the one thing you've been putting off? The one thing that, if you did it, would prove to yourself that you're not who you've been pretending to be. That's where you start. What's the smallest, scariest step you could take today? Breathe. Let that sit for a second. And if this is hitting different, drop a like. It tells the algorithm to push this to people who need it. The moment you stop negotiating with your potential. So here's where we land. You've been operating at a fraction of your capacity, not because you can't do more, but because doing more would require you to let go of the identity you've been clinging to. The identity of someone who can't, someone who isn't ready yet, someone who needs more time, more resources, more proof. But here's the truth. You don't need more. You need less. Less excuses, less hesitation, less permission seeking. You need to stop asking if you can and start deciding that you will. Here's how that actually works. First, kill the fantasy of the perfect moment. It's not coming. The conditions will never be ideal. You'll never have all the information. Waiting for certainty is just fear dressed up as strategy. Second, make the decision before the feeling shows up. You don't act because you feel brave. You act, and then bravery shows up as a side effect. Feelings follow action, not the other way around. Third, treat failure like data, not identity. You didn't fail because you're a failure. You failed because you tried something outside your comfort zone. That's called growth. Normalize it. Fourth, stop performing weakness. Stop saying, just not good at that, when what you really mean is, I haven't practiced that. Stop saying, I'd never, when what you mean is, I'm scared to try. Language creates reality. Change the script. Change the outcome. And here's the part that separates the people who transform from the people who. Just think about it. You have to act like the person you're becoming before you feel like that person. You have to walk into the room with confidence you don't have yet. You have to take the risk before the fear goes away. You have to claim the identity before it feels true. Because it will never feel true until you live it. And that opens a door most people never walk through. The door of full ownership. No more blaming circumstances. No more waiting for someone to save you. No more pretending you're powerless. Just you, your choices, and the life you build from them. So here's the final question. If you already had everything you needed to start, what would you do today? What if the only thing stopping you is you deciding to stop stopping yourself? Hit subscribe. This conversation isn't over. And if this made you feel something, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Catch you in the next one. This content is for informational and entertainment purposes. It is not a substitute for professional mental health support or personal development coaching.